So I got asked a question today by a dealer principal of a large dealer group, and they had asked me what they could do to improve their social media, what they could do to improve their brand theater, what they could do just to improve their engagement on social, their engagement on their website. Well, I told them, it all goes back to the basics from when I was a sales manager to when I was a used car manager to when I worked in e-commerce to marketing, or even when I was a general manager. So all these titles, you learn different things, right? You learn different things in sales. You learn to walk around. You learn your product. You learn how to mirror the customer. And all these things are kind of a reflection of what you're taught. Well, the basics of stocking in a car, the basics of logging a customer in a CRM with the correct data. So, I mean, they all have this symbiotic type of relationship with each other. So, let's start where most problems start on a feed, on a website. It comes down to content, right? So, the basics of stocking a car is just stocking the car, then merchandising it, right? So, it's putting it into your DMS, then how it pushes to your VMS. So you have two different systems that need to communicate with each other. And sometimes you have General Motors D2C2 involved or an OEM feed on a new car directly to a website. So depending upon how your tech stack is set up, it all comes down to inspecting your inventory, inspecting what you see on your website, making sure that the vehicle is populating correctly with the right information, whether it be new or used, making sure our custom comments are there again, new or used. What is our why buy from us that's incorporated maybe into your custom comments? So these are those little details that set you apart, that index you, that build a citation, that build a validation of trust, that say, here's all the data. Most things on a screen, though, is a bunch of written garbage unless somebody's really deep diving, right? People in general look up a car, look up a package. Does it have a third seat? Does it have Apple CarPlay? Is it front wheel drive? Is it all wheel drive? Does it fit my budget? Does it fit my payment? Does it fit my lifestyle? What type of safety features have? But ultimately, it comes down to building trust. So to answer this owner's question, um, okay, so it starts with merchandising, right? It also starts with your generative SEO and how your website performs. So generative SEO is just SEO evolved. It's really just the shit we always were supposed to be doing, but forgot to do, or we had a lack of understanding and didn't inspect it. It wasn't until just recently, a couple of years ago, I attended a meeting in a large dealer group in California, and we talked about SEO. By the end of it, half of the GMs are like, well, how could I pay more to get my ranking? So what had happened there? I had spent 30 minutes talking about SEO, probably bored the shit out of everybody, right? Showed them how their different stores were growing organically. And then all they wanted to know was about their pay-per-click. So it was a simple thing is we don't understand, so let's throw money at it. Okay. Again, let's go back to the beginning. Merchandising, right? Pricing a car right, pricing it to market, good pictures, good video, good quality content, widgets on the website that make that communication easy for the consumer to understand, but not only our consumer, but our first salespeople, which the website has to communicate it online to everything to say, this is what we are, this is what we do, and this is how much it costs, and this matches your query of what you're looking for. So our first salespeople knowledge has to be there. It's our website, our BDC, our receptionist, then it funnels down to our salespeople, okay, and our community. So all these data points build something, okay, along with SEO that evolved to generative SEO, okay, and then we have something that enhances the brand. It's the amplifier. It is what I've been calling for over a decade, brand theater. So this is something I learned in the restaurant industry when social media first started. It's how you cite the brand. Who is the trust point? Who has the best lasagna? On a vehicle, okay, our vehicle, we've always kind of positioned the car dealership as that's our center stage from a variable side. For service, it's about the oil change. Maybe it's about the reviews. Maybe it's about a coupon. Maybe it's about an email. Maybe it's about a direct mail piece. But regardless, those are people that have a need. more than a want. In sales, there's a little bit different situation. People do have genuine needs. They do have genuine budget, right? But when we're trying to boast social media, what are we talking about here? There's a couple different types. There's corporate social media, and then there's individual personal branding. So the personal social media is when a salesperson is talking out there in TikTok and just building the brand for himself, talking it up. If they apply an 80-20 rule, they can use a lot of different influencers and industries people's, way of they do stuff and model themselves by them. I think Russ Sells Whips is one of the gentlemen, but there's a lot of people. I mean, go back to Supercar Blondie, go to Doug DeMero. And Doug DeMero, um, if I remember right, was an editor at Auto Trader. I met him one time when he came to a supercar store here in Chicago, and he did some reviews and just talked about it. And now they have, if I remember right, they have an auction site called Cars and Bids. So they've evolved like we should in social media, and like this dealer principal should do. So I looked at this dealer principal's generative SEO. Majority of his stores was a failing grade. Just about everything was below 40%. A lot of stores had zero. Just so you know, I mean, a D and an F is definitely not passing, right? But regardless, the only acceptable score really on generative SEO is 100%. But even if you got it 60 or 80% right, that would be an improvement compared to 99% of the dealerships that I've audited. So most dealerships really suck. I'm sorry. Your generative SEO and your SEO game is really sucking because the rules have changed. It's not that your SEO provider, your website provider, your paper provider doesn't know what they're doing. The difference is that you get out of everything what you put into it. Also, there's an accountability of work. And the average person cannot build the amount of SEO content validations, trust vectors that build a Google knowledge graph, which is what we're trying to build to get found through search or generative search, or by a consumer point that validates you and says, I trust you and this is who I want to buy from. So it doesn't matter if it's AI overviews or if it's voice search. It's all about authenticity. It's all about content. It's all about long-tail keyword terms. And this is something that CarGurus was excellent at it. Pure Cars was great at it. And a lot of SEO and SEM companies are good at this. However, with today's landscape and the amount of data that's needed to generate for all these platforms to get found, there are some simple title tags that we can do, some structured data we can do, and that's great. But in general, we are talking about platforms that haven't been built necessarily by the technical aspects that we had years ago. A lot of these things are searching stuff as how we want to be found, how we want to be known, how people want to build their trust. So what's happened? Humans have built these particular programs so that they can ask a question. So Q&A, question and answers. Where do you get that from? Well, you get it from your Google business profile. You get it from your website. You get it from your brand theater, to who's the authority. So social media, his biggest problem was he likes himself more than anything. And I told him this. I said, hey, you're the guy writing the paycheck, but let me tell you something that's going to offend you. You like to put your face all over your YouTube channel. You're not the star of your show. You're the advertising portion of your dealership group. And that's great. When you put an ad out there with your face on it and you pay for it, once the paid ad is gone, it's gone. But what's not is the stars of your show, which is your people, sometimes your product, and how the community is with you. So your guest stars are, again, your customers, and they choose if they want to be into your mini series. Now, your community also can be a guest star. The OEM can also be a guest star. Third-party sites can be a guest star in your mini series. They validate you. So there's this symbiotic relationship where you can't just be an easy button anymore. You have to be an everything button. You have to be an everything citation. You have to be an all authority. So if he was going to have all this content, and I looked at all his YouTube posts for the past couple of years, the difficulty with this, and this is very unsettling, is that, if you're going to build a brand, you have to think about social media, right? And then we have, obviously TV, which should never go away. We have OTT. We have many, 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 many more places to advertise on it. It just isn't a billboard or a newspaper anymore. And I'm not saying newspaper and billboards don't work, because everything has a place for it in a community or society. And every dealership in every town and every county is different. Every state's different. Every OEM brand's different. Every customer is a different trigger. Some people are very passionate about off-roading. Some people are very passionate about taking the kids camping. Some people are really passionate about supporting the community, supporting breast awareness, for cancer awareness, stuff like that. I'm probably mispronouncing all that, but I think you get the gist. But some people support dogs or cats. I mean, they're passionate about it. And when you're talking about stuff, you have to be genuine. So when you put out these commercials and you talk about these great 1.9% financing for 60 months, we have the best financing in the world. We have a great selection. We have the promise. And whatever the promise is, whether it's getting it out within an hour or whatever it is, like we had at Motorworks for years, we had one and only. Wonderful marketing catch, but you also have to do what you say you're going to do, because people lose trust with you. Because you know what, 70% of them don't believe your bullshit on your ads anyway. But what it is it's a validation point. So where else could you use that validation point? You could post those offers on your Google business page, which 79% of all dealers don't post shit on your Google offers. Now people go, oh, well, but it doesn't generate me any traffic. It doesn't matter if they're clicking on it. It's a matter of them seeing it. So when somebody's looking at your Google profile, they are looking for your reviews, and right below it is your offers. They are looking at your FAQs. They are looking at how you respond to reviews. So reviews are power, okay, for a dealership in today's society. Social media, your brand theater, let's talk about that. So if you're an individual and you build a commercial and you're a general manager or you're an owner and you put this great commercial and you have that up there and you talk about the special financing, that's great. But the large language models need quick validation points and a quick 100 maybe characters of what it is that you're saying you're going to do for me. Okay. Now, we all know that there's always these social media gurus, and everything works different for everybody. So let's talk about the dealership. You should have broke up that 30-second spot maybe into different snippets. Maybe you're talking about 8 to 15-second spots. So we need to think about it. Where are those breaks? What makes the most sense? What part of that makes the most sense to a consumer? Because usually there's like an opening, okay? And that opening could be either let's grab their attention, with a good call to action, or let's say something off color to get their attention. To get them to stop the scroll, stop the commercial, channel change, and you watch it. It could be something funny. But ultimately, it's to get them to an offer of what your message is, and then get them to call you or come and visit you or visit you online. So that's the basics, but you sometimes have to re-engineer things as far as the way you do it. Now, an ad is just an ad. That's not saying that works and resonates with all your customers, because personal branding is different. That's personal branding. If somebody's on their social or their social media persona in this way of saying, there's a gentleman I follow on Clubhouse, Tony with the keys, and everybody has different call outs. It could be the call guy. So there was the gentleman that passed away not too long ago, the car guy Korea. I think was his name. And ironically, I did a podcast on years ago, and I came up with that image, and it really made me kind of sad, because as we get older, we see things like this change, and people come and go. But getting back to the positivity of this, and I'll quit rambling and kind of land my plane here. But the reality is that if you're a dealer principal, the stars of your show are your people. So I looked at one group, for example. They have this service director, service manager, Roger, who walks around with a wrench, and he talks to people, and they post it on social media. But wonderful that they do that on social. They do things, on Facebook. The problem is, if you're going to spend the time videotaping that, you need to think about putting it on Instagram, and then from there, it's going to push to Facebook. Okay. And then from there, you want to take that same content and you can put it on TikTok. And you want to take that same content, you can download that content from TikTok and just upload it to YouTube Shorts. the whole idea with the algorithm is getting people to completion, to get them to end that. Now, these are short video formats that create engagement. So what builds the most citations? What builds the most reviews? What builds the most engagement? We know service sees the most people, so they can get the opportunity to build the most reviews. We know that when we get these contexts and these reviews and these stories, we want to make video about it. We want to make post about it, right? To say that we're good people. But because it's happening in the service department, where should the majority of our videos be done? Well, a lot of it should be around safety and service. It doesn't have to be kind of like that online series on TikTok, the dealership, which is a parody on The Office. What it needs to be is just genuine things that help people, tell people, hey, it's time you get wiper blades and here's why, and here's how easy it is to pop them in and out, or you can come and see us. So there's so many safety tips that people just crave, right? Those are short, less than 30 seconds in general of videos. You want to get a full on maintenance video and put it on regular YouTube, it's fine. But most car dealerships miss the simple point of the short reels, the short video posts. So like the dealership I was talking about with the wrench, what an amazing thing to do, to walk around with the wrench and act like it's a mic and talk to people, right? And you get your, people know them. I was at a social media conference and they were talking about the guy with the wrench is here. And I thought, wow, it's cool. He's sitting right there. Just go talk to him. But anyway, but it was cool. But if you're going to do that video content, you have to broadcast it on all platforms. Every once in a while, maybe it needs to be a LinkedIn thing. Every once in a while, it needs to be, of course, it's probably on that manager's personal Facebook pages. But realistically, this is also a company and a corporate thing. We need to make sure that we're focusing on the real stars. The real stars are your people, period. Okay. The product can drop in there. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But if we're going to talk product that might be 10, 20% of what you're talking about online on social media, you really need to be talking about your people. So a lot of times I'll talk about, hey, some of the best videos that you can get is that video of a customer taking delivery, those joy moments. And this is a very simple thing to do. Videotape a joy moment, a customer taking delivery. What's better when a son or daughter is getting their first car and their parents are saying, hey man, you got your first car, let me get it for you. Or you are an executive and you buy that brand new car for the first time and you're saying, hey, I arrived. Or you've gotten this wonderful couple that they just had a baby and they're putting that child seat in and they're so happy. And you just thank them genuinely on video. And it doesn't have to be video, it could be a picture, but it could be part of a review. Somebody could write a review and they could take a picture of their joy moment. All these little validation points is what we're looking at today. People want real truth. People want authenticity. So please, there's a part for the owner and the GM to take a TV commercial, and that's branding too. That's paid advertising. Paid advertising, again, in general, it's gone though once the pay is gone. Most platforms are pay to play. And I know it seems like a waste of time, but getting found organically and building your brand theater, all these data points get us found. And because you're getting found in your backyard, you become the authority. Whereas a lot of dealers make this mistake. They don't do all this and then they just pay for ads. But yet your pay-per-click is costing you that much more because you're conquesting in your backyard. So many times when I test a certain area, and I was in the south suburbs of Chicago, pretty close to Chicago, and I lived at a Cadillac dealer. Wonderful dealer group, liked them a lot. But in their own backyard, there was another Cadillac dealership from Countryside. He was the authority. There was another dealership. I want to say they're in Orland Park. They were the authority in their own backyard. So when you did the research and you saw who was the trusted dealer, who was the person that most comes up in that by zip code, and you start looking at those data points and you realize that, hey, I'm right here. People should find me. Well, why don't they find you? Because you don't have enough reviews. There's not enough data about you. There's not enough inventory pages built out about you. And that's where generative SEO and brand theater comes in. And all those site directories that need to be optimized, all the little details that you don't really pay attention to, but you'll just throw some money at and then go, why isn't it working? Well, it's not that you don't get the email, because most things are lead gated. It's not that you don't get the call, because people do want to know it's there, but it's the 30 seconds after the call. It's the 30 seconds after they commit to an appointment, or it's the lead that comes in and then the next 3 weeks that they ghost you. And maybe they ghost everybody else too. But the differentiator is going to come down to trust. That's all it is. People just want to be treated right. So if you're an owner, it's okay to see yourself. If you're a GM, it's okay to put a name with the place, because you know what? One of my best website pages ever when I worked for the Napleton Group was the Talk to the Boss page. We did a page at the Oak Lawn store. And one of my most popular pages on the website, it was the fourth or fifth most popular page. It was the Talk to the Boss page. And we even had a link to it on the homepage, right to his page and video. And it was wonderful. That GM just got up, announced who he was, said, hey, if you need anything, you want to talk about anything, good or bad, I'm here for you. And he put the number right to his office. And it just made him human. It made him, transparent. People would call him and he would just get on the phone and take care of their issues. So, do we want to get by the vendor that's calling on and bothering that GM? Yeah, we don't really want that. What we want is real customers interacting with us and just saying, hey, I need something. I have a problem. I'm not getting an answer. I have a beef with you. Or, hey, I want to buy a vehicle, but who should I talk to? So when people don't have staff pages and you don't have a Talk to the Boss page, you should. And you should have advertising with the owner or the GM, out there. But keep in mind, when I go to your YouTube page and all I see is nothing but call offers, and I go to your Instagram page and it's nothing but offers, and it's the same way at your Facebook page, what does that tell me about you? You just want to sell me a freaking car. You don't care about me to earn my business. So customers demand a little bit deeper than that. They want you to be their go-to person. If not, this is maybe this is why 53% say that I'll never return back to the dealership I bought a car from. And it's just because we didn't retain them, because we didn't keep letting them know that I care. So I'm going to land my plane here, but please remember the 80-20 rule on our personal, or on our dealership social media platforms. What a person does on their individual branding and those platforms, that's a different plan. That's for a different day and a different discussion. But right now, think about it. Most of you are not really paying attention to your brand theater. It just looks like Auto Trader. It looks like cars.com. And they're specifically going to those websites to buy a car. Nobody goes to the dealership's social media page in general to buy a car. Okay. That's not what that's about. It's about getting to know you. Okay. And between you and I, the number one person that goes to your social media page is you. It's your own employees. It's your second salesperson. Now, and I shouldn't say number one, because really it's indexing on your first salespeople, which is online, which is the internet. So our salespeople, we need to load their lips, right? And we coach them. Well, everybody says we need more training. We don't train them. Well, do you not think that your social media doesn't train them on what you have, how to respond, what to talk about, what the offers are, what's going on in the town, something that you can resonate for people who live in the area and you can build common ground? Just a thought. Think about it. When you're posting stuff on social media, the people that watch that the most is you. Have a wonderful day.